Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So today the 714 method wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy, to be honest. It wasn't really easy. It took a lot of patience and at the same time just a little bit of a trend analysis for you to actually get a nice trade. But if you are quite patient, right? If you are quite patient enough and you follow the rules of whatever I've taught you guys, you probably have gotten into a trade right now. This is a trade that I got. So what were we having within the 714 method? Obviously, as usual, we usually have a what? An uptrend, so that we'll be looking up here above to actually do what? Find our support and resistance, favor lookup and an order block to execute our sell trades, right? Or we'll probably just have a what? A downtrend, so that we'll be looking below to use our what? Favor lookup, support and resistance and other blocks again to do what? To enter our buys. So usually these are the two things that we just have with the 714 methods almost every single time. But there are some instances that it gives us a trend that I called a what? A triangle, and at the same time a what? A V trend. Now, why am I calling this a V trend? Because it shows a consolidation. Why am I saying it shows a consolidation? This is where price started, pushed all the way up to this range and came all the way back to that initial level, right? So obviously this looks more or less like an equal sign. Price is equal at that moment. There's no really a reason for you to be looking for a trade around this range. No, because price is just equal. Buyers are not winning, sellers are not winning. Now I've taught you guys how to actually trade this, right? But sometimes it has you have to depend on a lot of patience waiting for price, because within a consolidation, price can still do what? Make you wait for a very long time. So let's look at today's trade. Now when we look closely at today's trade, you can see that price entered around this range, push all the way up to this high right here, came all the way back down to that same range and closed right. So that right there was a triangle trend, meaning all we needed to do was to just mark this high right here. As you can see, this high, and you mark this low right here. So what do you use to execute a trade? You have to wait, right? You have to wait because it's a consolidation. You have to wait for price to break above it, either come back for a retest, or equally just have a what? A pushback and a break of structure. So with this break of structure above this range, that is when you execute your trade. And the same thing works out when it's a what? A sell trend. You do that same thing, you wait for a what? A BOS, and you execute your trade. Now I know this is quite messy, but just understand what I'm saying, right? So this is how it works. So if you are having that level, let me use this to just draw it, right. So assuming this is the upper side and this is the lower side, and inside this range is when we are having our what? Our triangle what? Trend, right? So this is it right here. So this is our upper level, this is our upper high, and this is the lower low. So all you need to do is wait for price to break above this, and you enter based on the what? The BOS. All you need to do again is wait for price to break below this, and you enter based on the what? The BOS. So why did I ask you guys to do this? Because sometimes if price is consolidating, it can fake out right now. When you look at today, the only reason why I was able to catch this entry right here was because I was looking at a bigger time frame. Now when you look at the bigger time frame, this wasn't really a problem at all, right? On a bigger time frame, you can see this was what we are having. Very nice. Price was just respecting this fair value gap right here. I told you guys last week, I made a video on it. Price was here. It said its price is coming all the way down to this range. Now I initially got out of my trades right here, but I just had to wait because price was still waking down just to close this gap right here. So obviously after that, by looking at this, you already know where price is headed to. You know price is coming back to this range. That is a support zone. It can either use this range as a resistance to push price all the way down, or you can just push through it, and we'll be aiming at this high right here. But so far so good. That was all you needed. You just needed to wait for price to do either of these two, to break above it and give you a BOS and you enter into a buy, or break below it and give you a BOS so that you enter into a sell. Now, if you did not actually wait for this, that was when you have a problem, because when you look at it, you realize that price came to this range, came back to this level again. So it was just consolidating. That's why it's very important for you to wait. if you had waited, you could have executed this trade right here. I know it's quite high, but you still could have executed a very nice trade, because after price pushing through it, you can see it coming back. Now I executed another trade when price dropped all the way back to the zone, but you could have also executed a trade when we got all the way up, giving us this BOS right here. You can see it right. So this was the BOS that price gave. So that was all you needed. Now, a lot of people don't understand trading is mostly not really about you being in bigger trades, but it's just about you making money from what you are doing, right? Very, very simple. So you still could have been in this trade and you would have targeted this high or 1:2, with your stop loss just being below this range. So this right here could have been your trade if you had waited, right? Now, despite this being a small trade, you still wouldn't have lost money on this chart at all. And that is the most important part. Now, if you're going to trade like me, you would have needed a lot more than that, which would be how to identify support and resistance, or how to identify what demand zones on a smaller time frame based on your bigger analysis. Now, to me, what I was looking at right around this range was a consolidation, as you can see. So price came into that consolidation, rejected once, came back again. I knew for sure that something was happening, because on the bigger time frame, that was a fair value gap right there. So I had to execute my trade, because I know we're pushing all the way up to this zone. Now, the reason why price was doing all these things was just because it was trying to change its movement. So if price is trying to change its movement, if you're a beginner trader, you can just avoid all these things right here, all this drama, because if price is going to change its movement, it tends to consolidate a lot before actually changing, right? But yes, that was just it. That was what we had. A very simple trade. Very, very important to understand that if you were not having enough patience, you wouldn't have been able to execute a trade today, or you would have been in a loss. Now, obviously, if you're someone who actually watch my videos and you've seen the short bar strategy, I did this because I want to talk to you guys about it. You would have been in this trade with the short bar strategy, right? So why am I saying this? Obviously, the short bar strategy is very simple. As you can see, we're having our double touch right here. Price push all the way up, changing character around this zone. So if I take this out so that I can explain it well for you, you can see the double touch, price push all the way up and drop back down. You can see it right here, weaken all the way up again. So this right here was a change of character. Right there, you can see that price actually changed character. Now, with the short bar strategy, you would have been in this trade right here. Very, very nice. Put your stop loss below this range, and you see that you would have had something similar to what I just had, right? You would have had something that looks like this as well, and you have been targeting these highs. So that should have been the short bar strategy for you. So you see that when you learn 2 or 3 different strategies and it's all giving you a correct movement, it's all giving you a reason to buy or a reason to sell at the same time, they are all moving towards the same direction. You should know that that trade that you are going to execute is going to be a very, very good trade, right? So that was just it. That's how price actually did today. I don't really see a reason why you shouldn't be in a trade today if you were just going to follow the rules and whatever I've taught you so far. Trust me, you would have been in a marvelous trade. But so far, so good. We are still pushing all the way up. I think price is trying to have a retracement, but I want us to reach this highs, even though I won't be in all these trades for us to hit that high before the day will actually end, which will probably be in 2 hours' time. I have to get out of this and there's probably just leaving only this alone, right? But so far so good. The trade was good. I know a lot of people would have had a hard time with it, but sometimes when you just look at a bigger time frame, it clears things out. Now, this is my major time frame, right? I do my analysis on what a daily time frame, but my support and resistance and every single thing are on a 2 hour time frame. So a 2 hour time frame is more or less my home. That is where I do every single thing. So that was just it. This is the trade that today has given us. Very, very nice trade. If you want to learn the short bar strategy, click on this video. Obviously, if you want to learn the same strategy, which is the 714 method, click on that video as well. But I'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys for watching.